Hello everyone. Today AMD has released a new driver, 25.1.1, and also mentioned an optional update. What does an optional update mean? It means that if you play the new games mentioned here or are experiencing the issues listed, you should update the driver. However, if your system is running smoothly and you're not affected by the issues or games addressed in the update, you can skip it. Today, I will be comparing the old driver, 24.12.1, with the new driver, 25.1.1, to see if there are any changes in performance. It's my hobby to test new drivers when they come out. Let's get started. Now let's take a quick look at the optional AMD Adrenalin 25.1.1 driver. There are no new features here. All the features are the same as those in the AMD 24.12.1 driver. The first game I'm comparing today is Cyberpunk. The game is running at 1280 by 800 resolution, with medium settings and raw performance. As expected, there's no noticeable difference in overall performance between the old AMD driver and the new 25.1.1 driver. Since it's labeled as an optional update, any differences are likely to appear in the games specifically mentioned in the update notes. Next, I'm comparing Far Cry 6, running at 1200p resolution with medium settings. Just like with Cyberpunk, there's no noticeable difference in overall performance between the old AMD driver and the new 25.1.1 driver. The game runs consistently without any significant changes in frame rate or stability. This further supports the idea that the optional update is more focused on optimizing specific games mentioned in the patch notes, rather than improving general performance across all titles. Next, I'm comparing Assassin's Creed Origins, running at its maximum resolution of 1600p with medium settings. Similar to the results observed in Cyberpunk and Far Cry 6, there are no noticeable differences in performance between the old AMD driver and the new 25.1.1 driver. This reinforces the conclusion that the new driver update does not introduce any broad performance enhancements for games outside of those specifically mentioned in the update notes. Next, I'm comparing Ghost of Tsushima with FSR 3.1 frame generation enabled, running at 1920 by 1200 resolution with medium settings and FSR set to quality. Just like the other games, there's no noticeable difference in performance between the old AMD driver and the new 25.1.1 driver. The game runs smoothly, with no improvements or changes in frame rates or overall performance. This further shows that the new driver update doesn't affect all games, only the ones specifically mentioned in the release notes. Now let's test Warhammer 40,000, Space Marine 2, one of the games specifically mentioned in the release notes. According to AMD, players may experience intermittent driver timeouts or crashes while playing this game on certain AMD graphics products. If you're playing this game on the Lenovo Legion Go and encounter crashes in certain areas, installing this new driver update might help resolve the issue. However, if you're not facing any crashes or problems, there's no need to update to the new driver. You can continue using the older one without any issues. It's also worth noting that while the release notes mention enabling performance tuning features like variable graphics memory, this option is not supported in the AMD Adrenalin software on the Lenovo Legion Go. This means players on this device won't be able to use that specific workaround. Next, another game mentioned in the release notes is Marvel Rivals. According to AMD, intermittent stuttering may occur while playing the game when AMD FSR 3 frame generation is enabled. As a temporary fix, they recommend disabling FSR 3 frame generation in the per-game settings to resolve the issue. If you experience stuttering with this game while using the new 25.1.1 driver, disabling FSR 3 frame generation should help. However, if you haven't experienced any stuttering with the previous driver, there's no need to install the new update. You can continue using the older driver without any problems. Next, I tested a game with AFM F2 frame generation enabled, combined with Radeon Chill to cap the FPS at 55 during idle and 60 at peak. The game ran incredibly smooth and stable, with input latency around 20 milliseconds. This means it's even more responsive than native gameplay, which is impressive. When using AFMF2 with the Radeon Chill combo, there's no need to worry about input lag affecting your experience. As for the overall performance of AFMF2, with the new 25.1.1 driver, it feels identical to the older 24.12.1 driver. Both deliver similar performance, showing no noticeable differences between the two versions. In conclusion, if you're playing new games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or Marvel's Spider-Man 2, it's recommended to install the 25.1.1 driver to avoid crashes or stutters, as this driver was specifically released to support these new titles. Additionally, if you play Apex Legends, this driver may also improve the game's performance. For Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, if you experience crashes in certain areas, this driver may resolve the issue. For Marvel Rivals, if you encounter stuttering during gameplay, you can disable FSR 3 frame generation in the game settings as a temporary fix. If you're not playing the games mentioned in the release notes, you don't need to install this driver, as AMD clearly stated it's an optional update aimed at specific games. For other titles, including those using AFMF2, you won't see any difference in performance between the old 24.121 driver and the new 25.11 driver. Also, keep in mind that when you install a new driver, your games may need to recompile shaders, which can take some time depending on the game. So if you don't play the games mentioned in the release notes, there's no need to waste time on this process. Just stay with your current driver and keep playing. I hope this information was helpful. That's all for today. Thank you for 10,000 subscribers and thanks for watching.